Hello and welcome to the fastest half hour in the cryptid world, This Week in Bigfoot, the news show that scours the internet and the Bigfoot community each and every week to bring you the people, places, and stories making headlines around the Bigfoot world. Then we take it and wrap it up in a nice, neat 30-minute package. If it has to do with Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and the Wildman, we've got you covered. This week, it's UFO reporting time, as AARO releases its first ever detailed sighting report, leading us further down the We Are Not Alone rabbit hole. Then we head down under as Mike Luci takes a look at the pig slaughter and strange footprints found in Australia. Snowwalker Prime hits the ground running with a brand new 2 minutes with, and the Bigfoot Rundown returns with more video content and an exclusive Legend Meets Science 2 update. These stories and more Bigfoot news than anyone on any channel, anywhere. So you better buckle up, settle in, and pay attention, because we move fast around here. Oh, and smash that subscribe button, because it's time we get at it. You ready? Let's go.
911, what are you reporting?
He's walking upright like a man.
With someone or something crawling around out here.
But he went back up the mountain.
Get somebody out there.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know. He's all black and big. He is big.
In a groundbreaking development, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, otherwise known as AARO, recently released its highly anticipated FISCAL report on unidentified flying objects. The AARO team, renowned for its rigorous scientific approach, set out on this ambitious study to evaluate the authenticity and nature of UFO and UAP studies reported worldwide. The report spans a detailed analysis of data collected from a wide variety of sources, including eyewitness accounts, radar data, satellite imagery, and military records. The key finding of the report provides compelling evidence that challenges conventional explanations for these strange aerial encounters. Now here's the kicker, folks. The AARO team did confirm that some of the objects observed exhibit flight capabilities far beyond the boundaries of known human technology. Think about that for just 1 second. As these objects also demonstrated extraordinary speed, maneuverability, and the ability to operate in various atmospheric conditions, including underwater, without any discernible means of propulsion. What's going on here? Furthermore, the report highlighted numerous instances of close encounters between military personnel and UAPs, where the objects reportedly exhibited a deliberate interest in our military assets and our nuclear facilities. They're doing it here, they're doing it in China, and they're also doing it in the Middle East. The report stressed further investigations into the potential national security implications of these encounters, as well as the need to develop more advanced detection and tracking systems. We have to find out where these things are coming from, who they are, and where they're going. Now, while the report and the team stopped just short of admitting that we are currently being visited and closely monitored by one or more alien civilizations, the researchers did admit that the flight characteristics and the technology capabilities in some of these craft clearly challenge the limits of human technology and point towards advanced civilizations beyond our Earth. Now, while quite short for a government document, only 12 pages in all, the report did isolate 4 hotspots around the globe. Astronomer Chris Impey explains.
And the sightings are very interestingly clustered. They're mostly in the southern U.S. The big hotspot is the southern U.S. coast, East Coast, where there are a lot of military bases, some in California, and then a huge number in the Persian Gulf and over Iraq, and then another huge number over China, which is also interesting because most of these seem to be U.S. sightings, so I'm not sure where the Chinese data came from.
Public interest in UFOs has surged in recent years due to the declassification of previously classified government documents and the emergence of credible eyewitness testimonies under oath in front of Congress.
You could ask for off the coast of San Diego.
The AARO report, with its robust scientific methodology and compelling evidence, is expected to contribute significantly to the ongoing discourse surrounding the existence and nature of extraterrestrial life. As the world grapples with this paradigm-shifting revelation, the report calls on governments, academia, and the scientific community to collaborate and dedicate resources to unravel the mysteries around these UFOs and UAPs. We're living in amazing times here, my friends, as the journey to understand these otherworldly phenomena has only just begun, and humanity stands at the precipice of a new chapter of cosmic exploration. We here at This Week in Bigfoot will continue to keep you updated on everything that happens within the UFO and UAP community.
Alright, there's a lot of moving parts in this one, so try to keep up. This video surfaced on the Bigfoot subreddit last weekend and allegedly comes out of Queensland, Australia. Let's roll the footage.
You got a cigarette box?
No, there's probably boot next to it. Fucking brick clean in half, and then this next to it.
Got a good shot of it? That might be a better one there.
And it's going up the hill.
Hey, what about just digging a hole and burying it? It's only 2 creek. Yeah, that's right. What about up there? What's up there? Oh, that's cool. Yes, sir. Well, you can see where something's dragged it down there.
Yeah.
I didn't look to see if the other car was still up there.
Your boss will be his eyes open up.
The reception to this video was mixed, to say the least, with many respondents voicing concern over the scene's lack of blood or entrails. Other Redditors pointed out that the hog could have been killed in another location. We'll get more on that in a second. While the original Reddit post didn't provide any additional information about this video's location outside of it happening in Queensland, I did get a potential lead on Instagram. After it was picked up by the Squatch Me Now Instagram account, one comment from an individual known as the_finder683 claims the footage was taken in central Queensland, between Glendon and west of Claremont. Finder683 says it was filmed near one of the sites of a 300-kilometer railway line project. He goes on to say the group allegedly discovered drag marks that spanned a few hundred yards, who also described the hog as being, quote, torn completely in half. He reiterated the trackway led back into the bush and alleges the hog had in fact been killed in a different spot. Now, the actual prints are another point of interest. We do see there are more than one, which do in fact look to be part of a longer trackway. Although there appears to be some decent distance in between each purported print, as of writing the segment, I don't have any info on precise measurements for anything like the prints, stride in between them, or the cameraman's shoe size. The prints details are pretty distinct, and for some, a bit too elaborate. A few Redditors took issue with the print's apparent mid-tarsal break, saying it could be a sign that hoaxers are now becoming mindful enough to include these once subtle details, making fakes more sophisticated and harder to distinguish. Now, here's where things get interesting. This video was posted on the Bigfoot subreddit literally less than 1 hour after the first one dropped. Let's check it out.
Oscar, they're behind you. Here, Oscar, here. Oscar, get up. Oh, he's a big fella. Get on, Oscar.
This footage was allegedly taken from the same area as the first video, and if you look closely, you should see a black figure running from left to right around the 15-second mark. Comments were a little more torn on this one, with skeptical ones believing the subject was anything from CGI or another wild boar, even to it being a leaf or spider that was just really close to the camera. Some Redditors even sparred over how the hounds acted or were supposed to act. I'm working on verifying other details about this footage, like when it was taken and any other additional details to the backstory I can find, so I'll keep you all posted on any new developments that may arise. In the meantime, though, decide for yourself if these two videos were in fact taken in the same area, but above all, let us know if what you think you just watched was fact or hoax.
Got a good shot of it? That might be a better one there.
In our fast-paced, tech-savvy world, our attention spans have shrunk. In a study recently conducted by Microsoft Canada, they found out that in today's world, humans have attention spans slightly less than that of goldfish. Yikes. These days, it seems like everyone's glued to their smartphones. A far cry from days of striking up conversations with strangers while you wait for your bus or your plane to take off. Our society's evolving, but not necessarily for the better. We're drifting away from genuine human connections, opting to stare at our screens, even in a crowd. It's a trend that could have unforeseen consequences, and it's not just about missing out on personal interactions. The real concern here is how this trend affects our ability to focus on complex issues and unresolved problems and mysteries. Take Bigfoot, for example. In a world where we constantly crave instant gratification and easy digestible content, for some, it's becoming harder and harder to commit to the patience and dedication required for in-depth research and analysis. Our shrinking attention spans are, in part, a byproduct of the digital age we live in. The constant bombardment of shorts, reels, and all other bite-sized content we devour on a daily basis has our brains becoming hardwired and accustomed to quick fixes.
No Wi-Fi on the flight or something, and you land, it can actually be quite stimulating. You get a lot of dopamine. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. But very quickly, when you're scrolling on social media, you're no longer getting the novelty, but you're continuing to do it, and you almost don't know why you're doing it. At that point, it shifts over to something that's a bit more like an obsessive-compulsive behavior.
This is where the potential problem lies for the future of Bigfoot research, which generally demands years of dedication, hours of solitude in the woods, and a willingness to accept inconclusive evidence. As generations evolve, and they always will, it's more than possible that the subject of Bigfoot might eventually lose its appeal altogether. The lack of any definitive evidence, coupled with the ever-increasing speed of modern life, might actually discourage future researchers from investing their free time and limited resources in the hunt for Bigfoot. The dwindling attention spans of future generations could indeed impact the interest in Bigfoot research as a whole. The recent passing of legendary Bigfoot researcher John Green closed the chapter on the old guard. Gone are the days of handwritten field notes, dropping film off to be developed, and hard-nosed, boots-on-the-ground Bigfoot research. Now, don't get me wrong, serious research is still being conducted by the likes of Shane Carpenter, the Outcast Paranormal Crew, Tom Steenberg, and the Olympic Project, just to name a few. But in a world where attention is a scarce resource, subjects without quick, tangible results could struggle to maintain support. And unless a breakthrough happens fairly soon, the Bigfoot community might face a tough road in keeping the younger generations engaged. In an era of viral trends that come and go in the blink of an eye, Bigfoot's long-standing mystery might have a hard time competing for attention. The need for instant validation and concrete answers could breed even more skepticism and disinterest among future generations. However, with attention spans dwindling and the demand for instant answers on the rise every day, younger generations may come to see Bigfoot research as a futile endeavor. Without compelling evidence or a shift in approach, it could fade into obscurity. Now more than ever, it's crucial for the Bigfoot community to adapt to the changing landscape, whether we like it or not. We need innovative ways to engage younger generations and capture their attention. Now, to be honest, technology, interactive experiences, and compelling storytelling has served to bridge the gap between shorter attention spans and the enduring mystery. I mean, come to think of it, it's exactly why Mike Luci and I sat down about 7 or 8 months ago and came up with the idea for This Week in Bigfoot. We wanted to break away from those long, drawn-out, 2-hour-plus interview shows or creepypasta witness account shows that really go nowhere. We came to an understanding that your time is precious, and we wanted to commit to bringing you the most Bigfoot news, Bigfoot information, and Bigfoot content we could in the shortest amount of time possible. Now, I hope this show is only the first of many to understand the dire need for change here in the world of Bigfoot. Only time will tell. But one thing is for certain, the Bigfoot community must adapt and find new ways to captivate the minds of future generations, or risk the subject falling into obscurity forever. Let's hope that day never comes.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Larynx.
I've been wanting to do something on this for a while now and finally found the right time. The Bigfoot Mapping Project recently released a very telling analysis on potential correlations between Bigfoot encounters and forest type. The BMP posted these 2 graphics on Instagram that broke down the analysis. One mapped out over 30 different tree types that comprise forests in the United States, another listed which forest types had the most Bigfoot reports. It may seem like these findings tell a familiar tale at first, but in actuality, they carve out a whole underlying layer of data that could provide some telling insights on the logistical side of Bigfoot research. When I spoke with Bigfoot Mapping Project founder Scott Tompkins, he elaborated more on his biggest takeaways from this analysis. Check it out.
And it's very interesting because one of the insights I pulled out of this is in terms of forest type, when you're looking at Bigfoot reports, you would think that the most sightings would be in the Pacific Northwest in those forests, but the most, even though they're so distributed, the most sightings that intersect with the forest type is the oak and hickory forest with over 1,200 sightings compared to 500 and roughly 600 sightings in the Pacific Northwest, so which is a Douglas fir forest. So it's really, really interesting to see how you can start to understand the data, and it starts to change maybe the conversation about the Bigfoot distribution in the United States, maybe because they have such a larger forest area in the Appalachians in that oak and hickory forest, which provides a ton of food and cover and habitat. Maybe that's why they, are able to live there. They cover so much more ground because it covers how many different states. So
in addition to the abundant food sources forest types with high volume Bigfoot sightings contain, Scott also touched on some other notable patterns his analysis brought to light. He believes these particular correlations could factor majorly in a Bigfoot's ability to remain hidden while covering vast expanses of terrain.
Not only habitat and food that are provided by the forests and the different types of forests, but these forests provide corridors, right, for Bigfoot and animals to travel with cover. And that's another thing that I noticed. You can start to see, like in the densest forest, that's where you get the most sightings because it makes sense that they're traveling in the densest forests, right? But also, without a lot of cover, you get less sightings. So are those forests less inhabited? Are they, what time of day are they active? Are they, if they have less cover, are they more active at night, which means they're less likely to be seen? It leads to more questions than answers and insights. But that's why I keep doing all the different analysis. So
now, while this analysis was certainly very telling on its own, Scott pointed out how some of his previous studies shed more light on this topic. He specifically brought up one on the correlations between Bigfoot encounters and tree sightings. Here's what he had to say.
But the tree canopy, I think, is also, that map goes hand in hand with forest type. So if you look at the forest type map, you can know what types of trees there are. But then if you look at the tree canopy and tree canopy cover, the darker green the map, the denser the tree canopy. So that means there's more leaf cover, there's more foliage, etc. So you can kind of get an idea of what types of trees and the density of those canopies that you're looking at. So there could be a ton of trees, but they might not have a ton of, they might be pretty sparse or not very, have a lot of canopy. So it gives you an idea of those two data sets together really help you paint a picture of what's going on in those forests.
I want to thank Scott for letting me pick his brain a little more on this topic and answer my questions. This analysis delves into a very specific data set whose findings could wind up being an integral piece to potentially solving the centuries-old puzzle. If you haven't already, definitely check out Scott's Instagram for some really fascinating analyses and breakdowns on correlative Bigfoot data, and definitely check out the official Bigfoot Mapping Project database. We added the links to everything in the video description.
All right, folks, time to check your watches. It's officially halfway through episode 32, which can only mean one thing. It's the part of the show where we give content creator Michael Merchant, you know him as Snowwalker Prime, screen time to speak his mind and get what's ever bothering him off his chest. The Lord only knows what he's going to talk about this week. Love him or hate him, you know you love him, you know you do. This is 2 Minutes With.
Echo Station 3PA. Spotted Imperial Walker. Imperial Walker. Echo Station 3PA. We have spotted Imperial Walker. Imperial Walker's on the North Ridge.
Oh my God. Have you seen the video?
The video?
Video.
You must mean the one in Colorado.
Yes, Colorado from the train. It's incredible. It's amazing. You don't believe in Bigfoot after watching that. You're just not human.
What makes you think this is a real Sasquatch?
Well, look where he is. How can anybody get up there? It's an extremely remote location.
There's a travel company up there that features a Sasquatch.
I don't get your point. They have a guy in a suit that walks around. Come on, this isn't a suit. Look at it. Look at the muscles. This is just like Patty. This is as good as Patty.
God's sakes, man, you can see his coattail.
I don't see him wearing a coat.
I mean, come on. There's a company there with a Sasquatch suit.
They said they didn't do it. They had nothing to do with it.
Oh, well, it's a Bigfoot then.
Finally, you agree with me.
That was sarcasm.
It's really hard to tell.
I'll work at it.
Look, come on, you have to admit, and it's this extremely remote location. How would Sasquatch get up there?
He could just drive a SUV up there and hop out and do his little dance and then hop back in the SUV and drive off.
Look, I know you don't know this, but another video has surfaced.
You're right, I don't know.
It shows Bigfoot pantomiming.
I'm Bigfoot. I am Bigfoot.
A hoaxer would never think of that.
It's exactly what a hoaxer would do.
Was that sarcasm?
No, that wasn't sarcasm. It's exactly what a hoaxer would do.
A hoaxer would never think of it. They would be acting like a regular Bigfoot. They wouldn't think that Bigfoot was intelligent enough to pantomime the fact that he is Bigfoot. He's saying he's Bigfoot. A hoaxer wouldn't say that.
The fact a hoaxer is
exactly what he would do.
They're wearing a suit.
Yes,
that's exactly what a hoaxer would do.
Agree to disagree.
I can't believe you think this is a Sasquatch.
I can't believe you don't think it's one.
God's sakes, man, he could be doing the Vegas showgirl dance.
You'd still think it was a Sasquatch.
I see no reason why Sasquatch couldn't do a showgirl dance. They're very agile, you know. Look, this is just getting ridiculous.
I agree. The fact that you won't accept that this is a Sasquatch is ridiculous.
Oh, you're ridiculous.
No, you are.
Oh, for the love of the unholy panda bears.
Look, this second video was from a person on the train that had a telephoto lens. You can clearly see Sasquatch pantomiming. I am Bigfoot. He even holds his foot up. Maybe he has a thorn in it. Aha! So you do believe it's Bigfoot. I was making a joke. You sounded serious to me.
Maybe the guy is adjusting his shoes. His fake Bigfoot feet.
How would a hoaxer know to be there? It's impossible. The odds are statistically against it.
All he'd have to do is look at the train schedule. It's a train. They're on a train. It has a schedule. It goes by there exactly the same time every day. It's a tourist train.
You don't have to yell at me. I'm right here standing right next to you.
And like I said, there's a tour company up there that has a Sasquatch costume.
I know, they said they didn't do it.
Okay, it's a Bigfoot.
Aha!
Finally you admit it. It's a Sasquatch.
I knew this video would do it.
Wild Bigfoot by Larix, the official hat of This Week in Bigfoot, sponsored by Larix.
It's time once again for the Bigfoot Rundown. The Bigfoot Rundown.
Back when we at the CARC used to do field investigations, a lot of us had trouble agreeing on the best times for night ops. Curious to see what other researchers and recreational squatchers had to say on this matter, I took a poll in the Bigfoot subreddit asking this question. Here are the results. The poll tallied 209 votes over a 3-day span, and as you can see, a clear-cut majority, around 57%, said the best time to go squatching was late at night, between the hours of 12 a.m. and 4 a.m., blowing away all other choices. The next two runner-ups were dusk from 5 to 7 p.m. and dawn from 5 to 7 a.m., which respectively garnered over 14 and 12% of votes. The choice here is pretty obvious and makes a ton of sense, considering how the majority of alleged Bigfoot encounters are at night, with large chunk happening during those late hours in between midnight and dusk.
Daniel Barnett, a 14-year-old Bigfoot researcher from the United Kingdom, recently made headlines on his quest to uncover the elusive creature's existence. Daniel set up cameras at a local forest close to his house, hoping to catch England's version of the Wildman on film. And while no footage was captured, he did manage to locate a strange set of footprint samples, which he sent in for DNA analysis to SGS, a leading testing and certification company. William Van Stryen, manager at SGS Global, said his team had to push their extraction methods to the limits with the small samples sent in by Barnett. They did, however, manage to get enough DNA for few solid species detections. The team detected eastern gray squirrel, common pheasant, and various large mammals like roe deer, wild boar, European badger, and of course, Homo sapiens. But interestingly enough, they also classified some DNA sequences from the family Hominidae, which is a group that includes humans, and a separate sample which included the family of Old World monkeys found in Africa and Asia. Although those DNA samples were more than the SGS team expected to find in the sample, definitive identification of Bigfoot remains elusive due to the absence of reference DNA sequences in any existing databases. We'd like to thank Daniel for the story and wish him luck moving forward.
I'm sure you've seen these images floating around, and the actual backstory behind them is pretty harrowing. They come from a video posted on a YouTube channel called Smoky Sasquatch Stories and Survival. The images allegedly came from one of their subscribers who lives in Northwest Pennsylvania. The two photos were allegedly taken on one of his trail cameras and were apparently snapped 1 minute apart at 12:39 and 12:40 a.m. I'm sure the lack of timestamp is driving some of you crazy, and unless that metadata is actually produced, I'm afraid all we have to go by is this secondhand account. Both images have been heavily scrutinized. Critics cited concerns over both figures' arm lengths or outright believe both could have just been people in suits. This one's leg looks suspiciously crooked, raising red flags that it could have been AI generated. Definitely take some time to watch the full video. The full story is definitely worth a listen. Check out the episode's description for the link.
Controversial Bigfoot researcher Sonny Vader captured what he's calling video proof of a close-up, angry, or pissed off Bigfoot. Vader explained that the footage was captured from a hunting blind near Banff Park back in September. At first glance, the video seems impressive, right? But when you check into Vader's credentials, unfortunately, you'll find he's been caught time and time again with less than legitimate Bigfoot videos, most notably by our good friend Phil Poling on his Para Breakdown channel. I guess we'll just have to see what happens with this video if Poling decides to bust him one more time, if this video is real or not. I don't know. What do you think?
One of the most renowned Bigfoot stories is that of the Fouke Monster in Miller County, Arkansas. One Fouke resident named Denny Roberts claims he recently saw the Fouke Monster earlier this month. Roberts says he spotted the creature while on a Sunday drive, marking the first time he ever saw it with his own eyes. Here's what Mr. Roberts had to say in a local news interview.
I thought it was a deer, but I said, no, that's no deer. It had too big of a body mass. It's reddish orange. Looked to me kind of like a orangutan.
Moreover, his brother Ricky Roberts claims these blood-curdling shrieks he caught on audio could belong to the Fouke Monster. Let's check him out. So what do you think? Bigfoot something else or total BS? Regardless of where you stand, one thing for certain is the Fouke Monster legend is alive and well in Arkansas.
The Bigfoot Rundown. Now, it wouldn't be This Week in Bigfoot if we didn't check in every once in a while with our good friend Doug Hychek to find out exactly what's going on with the Legend Meets Science 2 project. All right, Doug, it's great to finally hear from you. I know it's been a little while since we've been gone, but, you know, it's good to have you back on This Week in Bigfoot. And I hear that you're thinking a little bit out of the box here. You got some new idea, some great new idea that came out of the blue for Legend Meets Science 2. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so I was listening to a speech by Todd Newby, who gave a presentation up at the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference, and he was showing photos of radial bone breaks. Later on that day, I interviewed Esteban Sarmiento from the American Museum of Natural History, and he was stating no creature in the world could grab a bone, like a deer bone, and twist it and break it. And of course, I don't agree with that, but I want answers. He was saying in order to break a bone in a radial bone break, you'd have to put one edge up higher, one edge on the ground, like prop it up on a rock so it's hollow in the middle, and then smash it with a big rock or kick it with all your force. He didn't think it could happen by twisting. But just a week earlier, Jason B. Miller, who I had on my podcast, mentioned radial bone breaks that he recognized because he's a retired Army medic. He recognized these as radial breaks, and he found one with sticks in the middle of it as if something was fishing out the bone marrow. So I went, oh my God, this is something. I looked at my records. I had other photos. This is something we can put under a microscope more ways than one. We can actually get a gauge to measure the twisting it would take, the amount of, pound force that it would take to break these things. And I just think it's really compelling evidence of something that's breaking these bones with such force.
Yeah, and it's, to talk about legend meets science wheelhouse, right? Now you have something that you can put underneath a microscope, you can put on a scale, figuratively and literally, and do your work, right?
Exactly. Well put.
So how can my team here, how can we at This Week in Bigfoot and all my awesome viewers, how can we help you with this project?
So a call to action would be for anybody that's seen this in the past, maybe photographed it, look through your archives and get the photos to me, and also be aware of this in the future.
So bust out those old hunting and research photos and take a look through them. And if you have anything that resembles what Doug's looking for with these radial fractures, email him at doug@untoldradioam.com. It's time to bring you up to speed and give you this week's top 5 podcasts and live streams with Chuck Larson.
Coming in at number 5 this week is Brent Dill from The Tall Ones and the Port Chatham Mystery Explained. Here Brent walks us through his take on the strange history of the old fishing village behind the Alaskan Killer Bigfoot series, Port Chatham, Alaska. Check it out.
A baffling report emerged when a logger named Andrew Kamluck was found dead, seemingly struck on the head by a massive piece of logging equipment that no man could have wielded. The 1940s marked a shift to more chilling events, with reports of up to 36 gruesomely mutilated bodies discovered along trails, rivers, and in the bay. These remains appeared torn to shreds in a way that couldn't be attributed to bear or wolves. Then, in 1949, the locals of the village of Portlock, weary of living in fear of this menacing creature, abruptly abandoned the town, leaving all their belongings behind.
In the 4th spot, it's Paranormal Highway. Did aliens drop Bigfoot on Earth? In this long-running live stream, Eric Wood and Daily Dan discuss the otherworldly side of Bigfoot. Let's roll it.
Makes me hate these people even better, even worse. Here we go.
I know you're into UFOs and the whole possibility of aliens. Good. Which to me, I think at this point you're kind of, excuse my language, but I think you're kind of stupid to not believe in aliens. Now, my question to you is, what are your thoughts on Bigfoot?
Here's what I'll say to that. Okay. So you and I we're compatriots on the UFO thing, and when the aliens do land, I think you and I will be safe because we have already stated our belief in the aliens and we don't reject them the way all these other people do. So they can be vaporized first and not us. But you have also, I think, disrespected aliens by lumping them in with Bigfoot. I don't know why. It's like everyone thinks, it's ghosts, Bigfoot, and aliens, as if they're all the same kind of thing. These are all 3 different categories here. And you can have, you don't have to put them all in the same basket.
Coming in 3rd this week and first time here on the show, it's the Horror Den of Misfits channel. Park ranger forced to fight human-eating species just in time for Halloween. Check it out.
An echoey voice called out ahead of me. A man stood in a ranger's uniform, this head hidden underneath his hat. Come here, miss. Away from the forest. Not safe. I didn't notice the jerky extension of his hand as he beckoned me toward him. Neither did I notice the return of the rancid smell that had stalked me earlier. I just wanted so badly to believe I was safe. I started to stand up and walk toward him, but he lifted his head and all that was there was a shifting dark void of tendrils inside a cavity where the man's face had once been. Watch out, ma'am. Get back. Gunshots rang out from the void.
In the 2nd position this week, it's our own From Behind Tall Trees. Here the lovely and talented Gwen Purcell talks all things Bigfoot with podcast host Bobby Dizzle. Check it out.
Yeah,
I hear they get chattier this time of year.
Yeah, there's all different theories about that.
So you're talking about something nobody's ever seen.
Right. Nobody knows for sure. I don't know if they migrate. I can tell you that I get a lot of action here at the house all year round. So I
heard they get chattier when it gets cooler. I don't know if that's because it's just cooler or what.
No. I think they're less active in the summertime on my property anyway. They're more active in the spring, fall, and we get things that happen in the wintertime, but the summer is kind of hit and miss. But it's fall now, so we're getting quite a bit of stuff.
I'm less active in the summertime. It's hot. 110.
And coming in at number 1 this week, it's A Flash of Beauty's new trailer for Paranormal Bigfoot, another well-done documentary from the Residence team.
Because there's a lot more to what you can't see. Bigfoot, shapeshifted, folks.
It's not just that Sasquatch exists, it's that Sasquatch can do this and this and this.
We had the hair tested by a vet. It came back as an unknown hair type. Then I turned to Daryl and I said, listen, it could get really weird now.
Coherent matter can work in ways that ordinary matter can't because it's based on quantum principles. So it can easily go into cloaked mode.
And the words repeated, why are you carrying a gun? And the second time it went through my head, I knew they're talking to me.
It's not about the one encounter. It's about the thousands of encounters, exact same type of characteristics that tell the story. You cannot deny it. And that's why you have to acknowledge the paranormal aspect.
All right, folks, looks like we are all out of time for this week's show. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you to like and share everything we do here at the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective. You got to tell your friends. It's important for the success of the channel and the success of the show. We'd like to see this go further. And if you have any questions or comments, or maybe a story you'd like to see us cover, you can always drop us a line at ThisWeekinBigfootNewscast@gmail.com. So, until next week, for Mike Luci, Chuck Larson, and Snowwalker Prime, I'm Brendon Brown reminding you that when it comes to getting your Bigfoot news, be informed, not biased. Take care. See you next week.